somewhere near Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This is Amanda Golightly with Align Natural Health, and we're live on Instagram, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. So today we're going to talk about anxiety. Do you experience anxiety? Is this something that's common for you to experience in your day-to-day life? I know in my past I have experienced that as well, and it's not a nice thing when it creeps up on you. And for me, sometimes it would be as simple as you're in a certain place and you need to get out of there. And that decision is very quickly that you need to leave whatever you're in. And it can be intense at times and it can be stressful. And well, let's get into some stats about this. Approximately 284 million people worldwide experienced anxiety in 2017. And anxiety disorders affect nearly 1 in 5 adults in the US, and women are more likely to be affected by this than men. And and it could be, hold on, this thing's not cooperating with me. And sometimes it's people experience anxiety. It could even be depression as well. And what do you normally do? You're looking for help when this happens. So you would go to your doctor, and generally what they're going to do, they're going to prescribe you a medication. And I know, yeah, it is mostly women. That's right. And generally they prescribe you a medication. And I know for myself, I've experienced this as well, that I've heard others say this, like, I don't feel like myself. I feel like a zombie. You don't care about things the same way. Has anyone else had this experience? Have you been on medications and felt like this before? And when it comes to the medical profession, sometimes medication is the only thing they have to offer you. Maybe there's therapy as well, but otherwise they don't know how to help you. And a quick disclaimer, I know most people know, but for those that don't, I am not a doctor. And I would never recommend coming off medication. That is a discussion between you and your doctor only. So you could be following all of their recommendations to the T, your doctor that is, and still not feeling well or not getting better. And the question is why? Why are you feeling like this? Why is this happening to you? Medications in general, yes. I've just found I don't feel like me. Yeah. And it's not a nice place to be when you don't feel like yourself. So why are you not feeling like yourself? And I want you to know it doesn't have to be that way. When you're feeling that way, when you're feeling anxious or depressed or whatever that is around that, it's telling you there's something wrong. There's something going wrong in your body. And we can help you figure out what's going on, what the root cause is. And then we can figure out what your body needs to be supported so it can get better and back into balance. Like some of the symptoms people might be experiencing could be anxiety. You could have panic attacks, feeling shaky, worried all the time. You're constantly worried. Maybe you have intense cravings, nightmares, bad dreams, insomnia, weakness, rapid heart rate, upset stomach would be a good one if you're worried or anxious all the time. That could be affected. Shortness of breath, dizziness, grinding of your teeth, and even things like skin rashes and stuff, just because you're feeling this so intensely. And I wish I would have known there were other options in my early 20s even. Yeah, I agree. Other natural means would have been great to know for me at a younger age as well, and maybe that would have helped me avoid some of the situations I was in and some of the things I was experiencing. So what are the causes of mental health issues like depression, anxiety, things like sugar? Sugar can be a cause. It depletes your minerals, and your body needs those minerals in order to digest and process the sugar. So this also means high starchy foods like breads and pastas, and sweets, of course. Heavy metal toxicity. This is another one where it creates the mineral deficiency. So there's a lot of things that kind of overlap as far as symptoms go and the effects in your body. And heavy metals actually affects the communication in your body. So if your body's not able to communicate properly, it's not going to function the way it needs to. Bugs. So what do I mean by bugs? Bugs are parasites mainly. They could also be bacteria or viruses. But in this case, mainly parasites. And I know parasites, you hear parasites, it's gross, but it's reality. So parasites, and this is not something you get just from traveling. They're all around us. They're in our food. They're in our water. Your pets have them, so therefore you would have them. They're in animal and human feces. And if you have a pulse, you likely have parasites. So what are the symptoms that are related to parasites? Parasites can cause heart palpitations, like that heart fluttering that you could get. You could alternate between having constipation or having diarrhea, abdominal pain, especially after you eat. Abdominal pain can be sometimes very intense. I know that I've experienced that as well, and you have to kind of take a moment to just kind of breathe through it. That's what these little buggers can do to you. And they can also cause like a little cough if you've got something in the back of your throat. That's something I'm currently working on myself, because it's always a journey. There's always a process to getting through things. Skin issues, um, skin rashes, skin itchiness. These are all things that could be related to parasites. Parasites are also more active around the full moon and new moons. And currently we are on the full moon. I believe it's January 6th, and today is the full moon. So if you're experiencing these symptoms and they're actually worse than they normally would be, it would be because of the full moon. Parasites are affected by that and causes them to be more active. So I'm sure you've heard around this time, have you heard the term like all the crazies come out around the full moon? So this is kind of what ties into why that is, because we have parasites in our system and they're a little more crazy around the full moon, so that kind of impacts us as well. So what else do? They eat your nutrients, they steal your food, and they then release toxins inside of you that can cause some of the bloating that perhaps maybe you're experiencing. They also eat our neurotransmitters, and this is the communication inside our body. And if they're eating those, that's going to potentially cause brain fog for us, memory issues. It could also cause the anxiety. So interesting that heart palpitations. I used to get those all the time. Crazy. Yeah, it's just those little awareness as far as what could be the cause of what you're experiencing. And as I mentioned, I think I mentioned already, that they deplete our minerals, and this could also affect having anxiety. So when you work with us, parasites are found to be the cause. We work to detox them out. And the best way is always through the bowels. And ideally, we want clients to be going at least once a day, ideally 1 to 3 times a day is even better. And this is not just important with detoxing parasites, it's important in general. Because if you're not having normal bowel movements, you're at risk for reabsorbing toxins into your body, and then those are going to cause problems. Well, what can parasites look like? They can be tiny microscopic things that you won't even see. They could look like grains of rice, and they could even look like worms. And when you're working to detox them out, you may see them in your stool. And an indicator could be that it smells worse than it normally would. It might actually smell like perhaps literally something died. You may not want to hear that, but this is an indicator that the supplementation is working. And I know this is very gross, so gross. I agree, it's very gross, but it's also, for me, it's interesting to find out what's going on in the body and what the causes can be. It's very intriguing as well as being gross. Um, this is just, as I said, basically to give you an idea of what's going on. I know for me, if I have a better understanding of why something's happening, it kind of helps me feel a little better, and at least having that awareness helps get to that process a bit better as well. And I realize that I'm talking a lot about parasites, and when this was titled to be about anxiety, but really the two, they go hand in hand. And with parasites, Pardon me. And with parasites, generally, when we have those, we have to look for heavy metals as well. Heavy metals weaken your immune system and allow parasites to get into your body. They essentially open up the door to allow these things in. And so this is something why we have to handle both of those things. So a few tips to help anxiety. You want to reduce your sugar consumption because this is what they thrive on. Parasites absolutely thrive on sugar. So if you're finding that you're getting those cravings for something very sweet, even just carbs, sometimes that's what they need to keep going. And sometimes if you're killing them off, these cravings can get even more intense because they're just kind of fighting to keep going. So what can you do instead? You could eat protein and healthy fats. Healthy fats are also great. We'll eat protein as well. Also great because our brains need fats and they need protein to function properly. Healthy fats could be grass-fed butter, it could be avocado oil, or even coconut oil. There are a few others, but those are some main ones. Protein like beef, chicken, eggs, fish, stuff like that. One other thing with parasites, if you get meat and you're not going to eat it right away, you could freeze it. That'll actually help reduce parasites because whether you want to hear it or not, they are in our food, and usually it's not fully cooked meat or sushi, these kind of things. Obviously, you maybe not freezing sushi. I'm not sure. It's not really my area of food choices, but freezing your food first will help reduce the issues with parasites. And one last thing, wash your fruits and veggies. They're on the fruits and vegetables as well. So how do you know what your cause of anxiety is? And this is the beautiful thing when it comes to quantum nutrition testing at Align Natural Health, because we're able to test you and find out why you're experiencing anxiety. Why are you experiencing this? And when we find out the why, the cause, then we're able to find out what your body needs to get back into balance and what's right for you. So we put together a specific program so you can get better. And what does that look like? Well, it's basically, we're all virtual. We'd have 2 30-minute appointments. The first one being we would go through your history, your medical history, dental history, find out where you work, because maybe where you work, you're exposed to certain toxins. Find out if you've had any surgeries, tattoos, because scars can be an issue with the body and the electrical system as far as how it communicates, stuff like that. And once we find out all the information we need to, maybe any areas of concern that you have, we would take all that information. We would then test you in between the 2 appointments, find out what's going on, what the cause is, and what supplementation you would need. And from that, we would put that into a report of findings, and we would put together a specific programs for you. And then when we get to the second appointment, we would go through all that information for you, answer any questions you have, and then go through what the next steps are and how you'd like to proceed. So right now we do have a special for January. That January special for those 2 appointments is $129. It's usually $199. So if you'd like to work with us, you can go to our website and book your first appointment. We would love to help you through anxiety or whatever symptoms you are experiencing. We would love to help you get to a more healthier spot in your life. And so if you're dealing with anxiety or whatever, or if you know someone who is also dealing with that, we'd love to help them. Share this video with them or your friends, colleagues, whoever, if you think it would be of value to them and could help them. So that's kind of all I have for today. I appreciate you watching. I'm Amanda Golightly. Have a great day.